When you take a quick look at this shoe, it's all over the place. There's a ton of stuff on it, a ton of different colours, different branding, different stories throughout the whole shoe. And this video is going to match that with a bunch of different stories, including a question about what's our favourite site doing in sneakers when they're naming the shoe wrong. I think they're naming the shoe wrong, but I might be wrong about that. So maybe it's me. We'll find out in the video today. But there's also hits on this shoe that are absolutely amazing. There's one little thing on the shoe that the Japanese would call mai bagu, and we'll get into that today as well. But there's just a lot about it, plenty to talk about as we take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Dunk Low City Market. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channelです。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And in the spotlight today is a Nike Dunk Low City Market, and I'm emphasizing that Dunk Low because of this right here. Here's a screen grab from Sneaker News, one of the biggest sneaker websites out there. If you say sneaker websites, you'd think like Sneaker Bar Detroit, you'd think Kicks on Fire, and you'd think Sneaker News. And this one, I go to them a lot, see upcoming releases and things like that. And as soon as I saw this right here saying it's an SB Dunk Low, and then when I looked at this right here, I was kind of like, that doesn't work it for me. The quarter line on Dunk Lows is significantly different from SB Dunk Lows and SB Dunk Low Pros, so I was kind of like, but I'm no encyclopedia, I'm no font of all knowledge about sneakers, so I always kind of question myself, am I right or am I wrong? So I'm not going to go 100% behind my own convictions and say for sure Sneaker News called it wrong calling these an SB Dunk Low, but it's my opinion that these are just Dunk Lows, and I'm pretty sure of that because I looked at some other sites as well and they all said Dunk Lows, and even then at the top of the Sneaker News page in the sort of URL it said Dunk Lows and not SB Dunk Lows, so I'm pretty sure it's just a mistake on Sneaker News's part. But then when it's somebody like me, who relies on those kind of places to get their information, get the upcoming releases, get stories about shoes, it's like, have you got it right or have you got it wrong? Are they misleading me and then I'm misleading you? And that will go into tomorrow's shoe, because tomorrow we'll be talking about a Dunk High Dark Russet that I've also seen called Dark Curry. So it's a question there as well as if who's got the name right and got it wrong. But in the case of these guys, I'm 99.99% sure it's a Dunk Low and not an SB Dunk Low. So that little screen grab there from Sneaker News is a little bit of a mistake on their part. But we're all human, we all make mistakes. But getting past that and coming into the shoe, let's talk about what's in there and why it's important. For me, the 1985 branding on there, I think I'll find a way to show you that 1985. That's really, I don't know, there's an emotion there. I can't put my finger on what it is. I'm not sure if it's nostalgia. I'm not sure if it's poignancy. I'm not sure if it's just plain old sadness, but I always get a sort of feeling that the Dunk was the missing shoe, the kind of, the odd one out, the lost brother for so many years after its inception in the mid-80s. And then it took until the early noughties, more than 15 years of production before it really found its stride. Originally it was a skateboard. Originally it was a basketball shoe, and finally it found its stride in the skateboard community over 15 years later. And that's all to do with the Jordan 1 sneaker coming along at the same time and taking all the spotlight. So when it says 1985 on there, it's the year of its first inception. It always makes me kind of think a little bit of sadness, poignancy, and nostalgia all mixed into one on there. And it's nice that it's on this shoe here, and that's kind of a nice place to start the video. And we'll get through. Now, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't go through the entire shoe. There's too much on there. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pull out a few of the hits on the shoe, like that 1985 up there, and give you, at least a general idea of what's going on. So hopefully we've started up pretty high with that 1985. And what I'll do is I'll draw us back to the insoles, and we'll have a look at that. One of my favorite things on shoes, as you know, if you watch my channel regularly, is if they have different insoles, because it tells me that they care about the shoe and they took their time making it, and they didn't just go for the same insoles, which would be cheap to make, right? The same design on each shoe. So then if they make these little details different on each shoe, I think, they've spent a bit of time getting into these. And speaking of that, I think it says thank you for caring on one of them, and then Nike branding on the other one. And that's it. There's a vibe. It's almost like a subculture. I'm going to bring up the Cactus Plant Flea Market Vapor Maxes, one of the first shoes I talked about at this channel, one of my sort of first regrets for not actually going out and buying them when they came out. And then we can also bring up a recent, I think it was a Dunk, called the Street Hawker. And then we are back today with today's today's shoe, and there's this real vibe, an urban vibe going on. And this shoe totally fits that niche that's kind of appearing in the sneaker world and fashion world in general for these urban vibes and sort of street vibe to shoes. And then this shoe, you know, with that you know, thank you for caring, and you know, that sort of feel to it, it definitely fits in with all the rest of his brothers and sisters in that kind of segment of the fashion world out there. Now let's go to the heel, because I don't have any real thing to tell you about this as special except for that green bit on there. When I was looking at this shoe and deciding to talk to you guys about it today, it was one of the last things I saw, and there were lots of sort of pastel colours on the front, toned down, you know, bright colours but pastel at the same time. And then when I got to this green spot, it was like a little garden in an urban landscape, you know what I'm saying? It was like a little park in the middle of the city, and it just really did it for me. And I don't know why. No particular reason. It doesn't stand for anything. There's no like special emphasis. It doesn't mean anything, or collaborations or anything like that. It's just a nice headed green that I really appreciate on the shoe, and I'm just going to tell you guys about that. And then it's easy to keep looking at that and see where the two swooshes from the lateral medium sides come around, and you think, you know what, there's something interesting going on there. And you're absolutely right, because if you look at one of them, probably the lateral side, you'll see that they're translucent, both sides, left and right, medial and lateral. Sometimes shoes will have different swooshes on the medial and lateral sides, but in the case of these guys, both translucent swooshes on the medial and the lateral side of the shoe. And then as we drag it round from that, we've kind of gone high to the back, and now we're going 180 degrees round to the front. You get to that red and yellow toe box on there, which is a very neat feature of the shoe. But what's very special about it is all that detailing in there, and what that is the specs behind a dunk low to do with things like weight and things like that. And it's a nice little addition into the shoe that I kind of really appreciate. And then the final thing about the actual shoe, and we'll get into one more thing, like I said, about that my bagu in a minute, is the outsoles. And they've got this real ceramic, almost concrete ceramic feel to them, which I think really fits the narrative of the shoe well. And there's some kind of, it's like there's a story in the shoe, and I don't actually know what it is. You know, I don't know what all the details are or what all the characters are, but what I do know is it all fits together really nicely, and that sort of ceramic feel to the outsole really finishes it off in a very neat way. And then the final thing I want to do is draw your attention to this. Now I'll do it in two ways. One is how it looks when it's on the shoe, so dong. There's a neat little feature on these guys which kind of reminds me of what's been going on with Travis Scott a lot. He does little pockets hidden in his shoes and stuff, like the Air Jordan 6s on the outside. I think it was the Air Jordan 1s on the back of the tongue had a little secret pocket in there. But these guys, what they've got in that little secret pocket behind the tongues is a plastic bag. And in Japan, it's a big thing right now to be ecological and carry your own bag with you. So when you go to the store, the convenience store, the shop, or whatever, instead of taking a plastic bag from the clerk, you say, oh, I've got my bag, and they put the goods in there instead of using a plastic bag. Very ecological. And I think that's something to do with what's going on here, having that extra little plastic bag there. And then if we actually look at this doing here, it's my only thing I don't like about the shoe, and it's that plastic bag stretched out. And I don't know if you'll be seeing it zoom in slowly here, and you can guess what it is about this that I don't like. But right at the bottom of that plastic bag, it says "Have a Nike Day." Now, I don't like that branding. I think Have a Nike Day is cramming Have a Nike Day into Have a Nice Day. You know, they just don't really, it's a clumsy piece of sales if you ask me. And then the other thing I don't like is the fact it's sales, like pushing the sales and the branding and stuff like that on a shoe that is very urban and very sort of street. And it just feels like trying to crash commerce and big business into a sort of authentic kind of, I can't think of any better word to call it than urban. So on all of this shoe, all that detailing, all those little bits going on the shoe, from those translucent swooshes and those alternating mismatched insoles and everything like that, it's that extra little bit which is supposed to be kind of one of the nicest parts of it that really draws it out from it. That just pulls it down a little bit. Have a Nike Day, have a Nike Day. Not my kind of thing. I wish they hadn't done that. It just feels like they've commercialized something that shouldn't be commercialized. But hey, you know what? It's a multi-billion-dollar business, so maybe that's what they should be doing to keep their business going. For now, though, it's time for me to sign off. And you know, I didn't mention about those translucent swooshes, that when we talk about translucent, better talk about yesterday's shoe, which I absolutely gushed over. Make sure you check out that video from yesterday about those Air Max 1 clot kiss of death with the translucent toe box, like fully translucent. It's like a pane of glass looking through into the shoe. It's a beautiful shoe. Definitely check that out. And then the translucent swooshes on today's shoe is that tie up there. But for now, though, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content. I'll do what I do at the end of every single video. which just reminds you I do this every single day. And that means you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.